Payroll, steady peso, everybody on the payroll, under control. Every 20 minutes change clothes, shot my boy post. Only do shit when I say go, if you say so. Run up in the scene in my tight jean shorts, looking like a pimp, but I got one hoe. Can you shut me out? And I said hell no, never switching up, only switch up.
Hey guys, this is part 3 of what if Goku got trapped in the time chamber for 100 years and became Omni King. So please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Thanks. We pick back up the story with Goku in the time chamber. Goku had previously just done the forbidden ritual necessary to help him reach Super Saiyan 6. After he had done so, his vision had gone blank as he fell unconscious. When Goku opened his eyes, he found himself in a strange place. His body seemed to be floating around in an endless black void. Goku tried looking everywhere around him in hopes of seeing anything, but found nothing. So, after so many millennia someone has finally reached such a level, it's about damn time. Goku turned to the direction that he had heard the cold voice come from, and what he saw made him widen his eyes. Standing there was a man. No, man wasn't the right word to describe the being in front of him. This being resembles more of a demon than a man. This person wore long dark blue pants with red shoes. He also wore no shirt, exposing his upper body. But what was mostly scary was his face. The sclera of his eyes were pitch black while his irises and pupils were a demonic red color. Also there was a long scar that stretched from one side of his cheek to the other. It was as if someone took a knife and made a line across his face. He also had white eyebrows and 2 red horns on the top corner of his forehead, one on each side. Looking at his hair, Goku saw that it was a darkish white color like his eyebrows and reached his lower back with 4 bangs at the end. Not only did he look scary, but his energy felt completely evil as a red outline surrounded his body. "So are you, the ancestor, the founder and the first one to reach Super Saiyan 6, asked Goku. The being didn't immediately respond after he had asked his question, instead he seemed to be studying him. After a few moments passed, the being responded. "You are correct, I am Izumo, the founder and first Saiyan to unlock Super Saiyan 6. Don't bother telling me why you are here since I already know why." "Then can you help me reach the next level?" asked Goku hopefully. "Maybe," was the response from Izumo. "But first let me ask you a question. What are you searching for on the long journey of power? What is really the end goal for you?" Goku didn't hesitate in his response. "My goal is to become strong, to not only protect the people and things I love but to also fight other strong people," said Goku with his typical smile. "What a childish and yet noble reason," was the response from Izumo. "But at the same time it does fill me with a bit of pride and joy to see another Saiyan be able to come this far besides myself. For a long time my faith in our race had been lost." "What do you mean?" asked Goku, confused. Izumo decided to explain. It was no point leaving his fellow Saiyan in the dark. "You see, during my time thousands of years ago the Saiyans were nothing like the ones of today. Back then the Saiyan race was powerful. Just about every Saiyan could wield the Super Saiyan form. Few managed to even reach 5. My era was an era where Saiyans actually embodied what it actually meant to be a Saiyan. To keep pushing and striving to be stronger and better. But after my generation died out, I slowly watched as the Saiyans became weaker and weaker. As time went on it became so disheartening and shameful to watch. It had gotten so bad to the point where the Saiyan were extremely weak. To the point where they believed that a mere Super Saiyan was something of a legend. But that was all until now. Until I met you I had believed that our race was done for and just a lost cause. But with you here it proves that there are few still with that burning passion to become stronger." Despite his appearance Goku could tell that Izumo was a true Saiyan at heart. He kinda reminded him of Vegeta. "But besides that, I will help you get to the next level." Goku watched as Izumo walked up to him and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Goku, once you reach Super Saiyan 6, the journey from this point on will be much harder. There are a couple more levels after this, but you will have to train and work much harder than you have before in order to reach them." Goku watched as Izumo's face then took on a deadly serious expression. "Before we continue I must warn you of something. The more you continue down this path from here on out, the harder it will be for you to tame this power without it taking control of you. We are beasts at nature Goku. Super Saiyan 6 and anything past it are forms driven by evil and our inner beast. Should these powers overcome you, they will destroy you. The only advice I have for you is to do a lot of meditation. But now, despite knowing this, do you still wish to continue? Asked Izumo. Yes, I am fully aware of the risks, but I am confident in my choice. Izumo, hearing this, gave a small smile. Very well then, I wish you luck on your journey. Goku watched as Izumo turned into evil energy and entered his body as everything went black again. Goku opened his eyes back in the real world as he felt a surge of energy course through his body. Goku began to roar as he released all his power until he reached Super Saiyan 5. Pushing even further, Goku let out another powerful roar as a big explosion went off in the time chamber. When the smoke finally cleared, Goku could be seen in Super Saiyan 6. His fur had now turned black, the background of his eyes now black with his pupils being a glowing demonic red. On his forehead, 2 red horns could be seen. His hair is now completely white and longer with 4 separate bangs at the end. The 2 front bangs of his hair now reached down a little past his chest. Surrounding him was an evil red aura. Goku suddenly dropped back down to base as he took a knee to regain himself. It wasn't really because he had become tired and couldn't maintain the new form. It was because he had little control over himself while in that form. In it, he felt extremely evil. It was as if the form was trying to take over him. Goku guessed that this was what Izumo had warned him about. Before I try using that form again, I will need to do more meditation, said Goku to himself as he got in a meditative position. For 7 long years Goku meditated to increase his mental strength. After his deep meditation training, Goku got up and transformed into Super Saiyan 6. Much better, said Goku to himself as he immediately noticed the difference. He was now in complete control of the evil ki in this form. Speaking of evil ki, Goku could now manipulate evil ki and use it as a weapon. With his evil ki in Super Saiyan 6, he could create various shapes, such as hands, to catch enemies. Also with evil ki, Goku could use it to corrupt others and control them when they came in contact with it. But if one was strong enough, they could resist it or fight it off. Goku began to train in Super Saiyan 6 for a while. When he was satisfied, he sat down to take a small breather. Goku was greatly satisfied with all the power he has achieved thus far, but yet, he still wanted more. Goku, deciding that he had trained enough for now in his Saiyan forms, decided to continue training his divine forms. Also, he wanted to train more in his base form to reach an even higher power. Goku knew in his base form he was as strong as Vegeta in Super Saiyan God, but now he wanted to be as strong as Super Saiyan Blue. The stronger he is in base, the less transformations will be needed in order to defeat his opponents. Goku, putting on more weights, immediately started training hard again in his base form, throwing many punches and kicks. Just like that, a long 20 years would have gone by. In these 20 years Goku would have achieved his goal and even more. Goku had planned to be as strong as Super Saiyan Blue, but now he was as strong as Vegeta's Super Saiyan Blue evolution in his base form. Goku didn't know why, but when training to get stronger in base form, the progression was much slower. He didn't know if it was because he was doing something wrong or if that was just how it was. Goku, now done with that part of his training, transformed into Super Saiyan Blue, giving off a gigantic power. Goku was sure that with his Super Saiyan Blue transformation now, he could easily beat Beerus without the need of Ultra Instinct. Now with Goku's body being much stronger and more resistant, he could now stack Kaioken on top of Blue by 50 times. Goku, deciding to train with Super Saiyan Blue for now, performed one of the techniques he had recently learned. The technique was called the clone technique, in which he could create a copy of himself to train with. Goku had the clone of himself use Blue with Kaioken times 10 while he uses regular Blue. This way the clone would push him to get stronger. We then skip outside the time chamber, specifically on the planet of the King of Everything, Zeno himself. Inside the palace of Zeno we could see Zeno and the Grand Priests having a serious discussion. Knowing how childish and playful Zeno is, it would be an unfamiliar sight to many to actually see him so serious. "Are you sure this information is accurate?" asked Zeno, looking at the Grand Priest. "Indeed, Your Majesty, at first I didn't want to believe it, but after all the information I have gathered it seems to be true." "This is bad," responded Zeno. "With their re-emergence, the whole multiverse will be thrown into chaos. Not only that, but I can just feel it, that a war is upon us. If I may ask Your Majesty, could you tell me more about these banished evil gods?" Zeno, hearing the Grand Priest's question, decided to explain and tell the priest who and what the banished evil gods are. "A very, very long time ago, even before you were a priest and before I was even an Omni King, there existed a completely different generation of gods. During this time my father was the present ruling Omni King. As you know, at the current moment the multiverse only has 12 universes. You also know that thousands of years ago, before I erased them, we had 18 universes. But what you don't know is before I became Omni King, there used to be a total of 23 universes in total before my father completely erased them." Hearing this, the Grand Priest's eyes widened. Zeno then continued, "That's right, and in each one of those erased universes existed a destroyer gods that would later on become known as the evil gods. The gods that tried to kill my father and take the throne by force." Hearing Zeno's words, the priest voiced a question on his mind. "Your Majesty, with your father being the Omni King, I don't see why these evil gods who were mere destroyers would believe they would have a chance at victory. I understand your point of view and where you are coming from, Daishinkan, but you must know something. During that time the deities were much more powerful compared to now. Most of our destroyer gods of today wouldn't be able to hold a candle to one of those evil gods. It was just a completely different time and era. War, fighting, and simply the desire to become more powerful was very prominent in that era. Now, everything is super relaxed and peaceful, so gods don't see a reason to become stronger. Things have just completely become soft. Most destroyers of that time could easily beat the angel attendees of today." The Grand Priest, hearing all of this, was just surprised. He had known about the banished evil gods, but didn't know much about their history and origin. But to keep the story short, those evil gods and some who followed them staged a coup in order to overthrow my father. Naturally they failed. My father then sealed them away and erased their universes. But now they seem to be trying to re-emerge, but what worries me the most is just how powerful they have become now. I know after being sealed away in that dimension for so long they would have become powerful, but just how powerful is what worries me." Zeno then looked at Daishinkan. "When you checked the strength of the seal, how was it?" The priest gave a deep sigh. He knew his next words would spell worry. "The seal is very weak. We don't have much longer before it completely breaks. If I had to guess, we have maybe 2 to 3 months before complete chaos ensues." "I see," said Zeno, rubbing his chin. "Then we should start getting ready for the inevitable. But only after this tournament is over. When that is out of the way, we must inform the gods of the impending conflict. Also, this tournament could serve a different purpose. During this tournament we could see warriors that have the potential to be of great aid." "I agree, Your Majesty, we don't really know the full extent of these evil gods' power, so we should be ready to expect the worst." "Good," replied Zeno, "for now just give me updates on any new developments of the problem." "As you wish, Your Majesty," responded Daishinkan as he disappeared from the throne room. After the priest had left, Zeno was left to his thoughts. Meanwhile, in Universe 6, on the planet of Champa, for the past week had been having Vados train his fighters vigorously. When they had first arrived, he had found out that despite the last tournament being 2 years ago, his fighters on their own had continued their training. Caulifla and Kaba had mastered Super Saiyan 1 and 2 and had even unlocked 3. But according to them, no matter how much training they did, they could never master the form. The form drained too much energy and wasn't a transformation they could use for very long, so they had been stuck with using 1 and 2. On the other hand, Kale had become a master of her legendary Super Saiyan form. She could now use its power to the fullest without losing control of herself. Champa acknowledged their improvements, but knew if he wanted to win, these Saiyans would need to become much stronger. After a whole week of non-stop training day in and day out, the 3 Saiyan brats had been able to obtain Super Saiyan God. This had been something that made Champa grin. His plan was working brilliantly so far. If this continued, no doubt he would be the winner of this tournament. Champa's mind then wandered off as he thought about another one of his strongest fighters. Hit, the assassin. Hit had been doing his own training lately. He had said that he wanted to further increase his time skip and improve his techniques. Champa didn't bother him, instead he let the man train as he pleased, just so long as he was training to improve himself and become stronger for the sake of their victory, he had no problem. The other fighters of his universe were doing other kinds of training created by Vados that would help them since different kinds of races progressed differently compared to others. Champa, seeing that everyone was doing their part, decided to get started on what he dreaded most, training. He really didn't like it, but the thought of being erased and not being able to come back this time around really put a battery in his back. Meanwhile in Universe 11 on Belmont's planet, we could see the Pride Troopers training hard. Jiren, Toppo and Vermouth were training with Margarita, while the others were training with each other through sparring matches. Jiren was using his full-power Hakai form, while Toppo and Vermouth used the regular Hakashin form, as they all fought against Margarita. Out of the three, Margarita could tell that Jiren was obviously the strongest. But the other two weren't so far behind. If their training sessions like this continued, she was sure that the victory of the 11th universe was assured. We then skip over to Universe 7, on the planet of Beerus. On Beerus's planet we could see all the fighters from Universe 7 still going at it as they continued to train hard. Beerus was calmly observing Vegeta as he meditated in his Ultra Ego form. Beerus was putting Vegeta through training to help him better hone his destruction energy. So far things have been going great. Vegeta was improving day by day. Beerus noted that Vegeta was throwing his heart, body and soul into his everyday training sessions as he got stronger. Beerus guessed that it was because Vegeta knew exactly all that was at stake here. On the other hand, with Gohan and Broly, the two had been training hard with Whis for a little over a week now. Both had been able to unlock and get a glimpse of new forms. Broly during one of their training sessions while raising his power had managed to transcend to a new form. Broly called it Legendary Super Saiyan 2. But unfortunately when he had entered that form he lost control of himself, so Whis decided that for now Broly should do some meditation. Whis believed that Broly already had the raw power, it was just that his mind wasn't strong enough to keep himself stable while using this power. So Whis decided it would be best to focus more on Broly's mental strength than physical. Gohan had also managed to unlock a new form that he called Beast Form. Whis agreed that the form definitely gave quite the power boost compared to his previous forms. Since then, Whis has been helping Gohan master this new power of his. During all this time Whis had let Piccolo join their training sessions since the Namekian had also acquired a new transformation. The Namekian called it the Orange God. With his new power he was now able to better keep up with the Saiyans, but by no means was he stronger than them. Meanwhile back inside the time chamber with Goku. Goku could be seen training with a clone of himself, but something was now different this time around. Goku, in one of his training sessions against his clone, had managed to unlock a new form. When he had unlocked it, he had been surprised since there had only ever been one other person that he knew to wield this particular form, and that had been Goku Black. That's right, Goku had managed to unlock Super Saiyan Rosé. Author's note. As we know in the original show Super Saiyan Rosé is just a deity version of Super Saiyan Blue, but to make it make sense I'll be putting some changes on the power scaling. Super Saiyan Rosé will be the superior form to Super Saiyan Blue but will be weaker than Ultra Instinct. End of author's note. Goku studied his new form in amazement. Wow, this is the power of Super Saiyan Rosé, huh, it's incredible. Goku for another 2 years trained in Super Saiyan Rosé until he was able to perfect the form. Another author's note. This is no exaggeration. Remember in the show Goku went from a Super Saiyan 3 to mastered Ultra Instinct in a span of a few months. End of author's note. Goku was currently sitting down taking a break as he was deep in thought. Goku was currently thinking of more ways to increase his power. He wanted to be able to get more power out of his transformations without the need of using Kaioken. Sure, Kaioken was a very useful technique, But he wished that he could multiply his power another way without having to take the risk of straining his body so much. Right now he was able to use Kaioken in Super Saiyan Blue up to 60 times. In Super Saiyan Rose he could use it up to 35 times, and in Ultra Instinct 20 times. An idea had come to mind as Goku had wondered if it was somehow possible to combine his Saiyan transformations with his divine ones. The mere thought of it sounded ridiculous, but Goku couldn't help but wonder. Just imagine, if he was somehow able to combine Super Saiyan 6 with Ultra Instinct, just how powerful would he become? Goku for a moment daydreamed at such an outcome before he came back to his senses. Getting up, Goku began to train. It was no point in dreaming about it when he could be taking the necessary actions in order to make it happen. He didn't know where to start to achieve it, so pretty much he would be going in blind here. His divine transformation required him to be calm, while his Saiyan transformations were fueled by anger and rage. Trying to mix the two was like trying to look right and left at the same time. But for some reason Goku still felt like it was possible to achieve. Time skip, 50 long years later. After a whole 50 years, Goku had finally been able to crack the code. He had been able to combine his Super Saiyan 1 form with Super Saiyan God, achieving a new form he called SSJ God 1. When combining his Saiyan transformation with his divine ones, his power would multiply depending on which Saiyan transformation he used. So if he combined SSJ1 with God it would multiply by 50, if he used SSJ2 then it would be 100 and so on. Goku, now finally achieving what he had been training so long and hard for, decided it was time for a well-deserved break. No doubt this part of his training had been the hardest. It took him 50 years, but he was finally able to pull off what he believed a few times to be impossible. Throughout his 50 years of training he had come to many dead ends and nearly gave up a few times. It felt like he was trying to navigate his way through a huge maze without a map or directions. It would have taken far less time if he would have had a proper teacher to show him the way, such as Whis, but that option wasn't available so he had to figure it out on his own. For the rest of that day Goku chose to rest. He decided he would pick up his training tomorrow when he recovers. That's all for part 3, please like, comment and subscribe. You guys liking and subscribing is what really keeps me going when making these stories, so your support is well appreciated, thanks.